If we know that we can rest assured that our voice will once more go unheard by the fascist corporate right. Unite! Just stand together strong and fight a police state created to neutralize the silence of dissent. The power's in our hands. We'll get what we demand. No gives us all land. Right wing dead. Fight back. Fight back. Before they execute another flag attack that displaces thousands, creates massive death, and destroys our environment. Resist! Resist! For every metal one, we will raise a fist in solidarity to extinguish a living thought would never die. The power's in our hands. We'll get what we demand. No gives us all land. Right wing dead!
Okay, I want to introduce Mark from Kitchener Anti-Racist Action. He's a local organizer. He's been working on anti-Olympics work since the announcement, and he's going to share some stuff with you.
My name's Mark. I'd like to welcome everyone to Kitchener. Thanks for coming out. The weather should have been a bit nicer today, but we'll make do. The Olympics are taking place on unceded Indigenous territory in BC. There's never been any treaties that have been signed to give ownership of the land to the federal government. They stole it using the Indian Act when they enacted it. A lot of the resistance to the Olympics is from Native communities is because the lands that the Olympics are taking part on are encroaching onto traditional Native territory, and that's starting to affect ecologically sensitive areas like the Eagle Ridge Bluffs. I'd also like to mention one of the first anti-Olympic protests were the Eagle Ridge Bluffs, where a Native elder, Harriet Nahani, had sat for a couple of weeks blocking construction. After that, she was sentenced to 2 weeks in jail for her participation in the protest, and after she was released, she died a couple days later from pneumonia, and that was the first act of war by VANOC on the Native community. Our elders are always being killed every time there's a peaceful protest, and so I'm out here today to make my acknowledgement in honor of her and to tell VANOC to shove it.
Thanks, Mark. Okay, so the next speaker that we have is Dave Eby. He's the Executive Director of the BC Civil Liberties Association. They've been fighting tirelessly against the police state of 2010 and the Olympics to come, and he's got some stuff to share with you from the West Coast.
Hi everyone, thanks so much for coming out today. It's so heartening to come from Vancouver and see so many people concerned about Olympic issues. Right now, the question that we're all asking ourselves in Vancouver is if these are the things that are happening for a 2-week sporting event, then what would happen in an actual situation where there was some kind of security threat? What kind of repression would we be facing if this wasn't just a sporting event, if it was something more serious? Let me tell you what we're seeing in Vancouver. Activists who go to City Hall to speak out against Olympic initiatives are being visited at their home by security forces, members of the RCMP intelligence team. Cowichan knitters who are concerned about their sweater designs being stolen by the Hudson's Bay Company for Olympic souvenirs and said that they were going to stand in their sweaters along the torch run in protest were visited by the RCMP asking what their intentions were because they were viewed as a security threat. Any kind of opposition to the Olympic Games, speaking out against the Olympics, makes you a security threat now in Vancouver and will get you a visit from the police. There are countries where it would be normal, where if you spoke out against the agenda of the government, you would be visited by the police and we would understand that. It didn't used to be that way in Canada, it didn't used to be that way in Vancouver, but every day we're seeing that people who are just saying, why are we spending $6 billion on the Olympics when people are freezing to death in the streets of Vancouver? Why are we spending $6 billion on the Olympics when we have the highest child poverty rate in Canada, in British Columbia? And why is it that we're holding these games on unceded native lands? We can't resolve these land claims, but we can spend $6 billion on the Olympics. And those are all important questions to ask. But if you want to put them on a sign and put them in the window of your house, there's a new law that the province has passed that allows the police to enter your house to remove the sign as an illegal sign. Not only that, if you're homeless on the streets of Vancouver just weeks before the Olympics, a new law that allows the police to use force to remove the homeless from the streets and force them into a shelter. And not even the nearest shelter, any shelter in the province. So these are the things that we're seeing happening in the lead up to the Olympic Games, and these are why we're saying, you know, if you want to slide down the hill the fastest, then that's okay, you know, knock yourself out. But please don't bankrupt the province. Please leave the homeless alone. Please let people have free speech, because you don't have to do that in order to be the fastest skier, okay? So that's why we're concerned about the Olympic Games. Thank you very much for having me, and let's have a good protest.
Thank you. I'm now going to invite youth from Six Nations who come down to talk about why they're resisting the Olympics and to resist the Olympic torch with us today. And here they're coming. They'll introduce themselves way better than I ever will.
Sego, Sewagwego, Ojista, Leo, Nyungets, Daskalolo, Turtle, Hudunashoni, Swege. I'm Missy, everybody. My Uncle Hoy name's Ojista Leo, but it's easier for you guys to pronounce Missy, so I'll just leave it at that. And I'm from Six Nations in the Tuscarora Nation, Turtle Clan, and we're from Six Nations. Go ahead, Mikey. Sego, you'll notice ni Yungyat, Daskalolo ni Wagohun Jode, Dan Waganyato.
Sego's going to go with Sawadis Nyongets, Mohawk Wolf Clan from the Six Nations territory. I brought my brother here with me and my cousin, and thanks for having us.
So we're all here for one common purpose, to stop this fucking torch. And not to stop it, but to raise issues that are going on within, that this torch and these Olympics are bringing up throughout Turtle Island. And we're here representing a larger group of people that were supposed to be coming from Six Nations, and we're here to basically give that voice, that Ungohui voice, to tell you guys why it is so necessary for everybody to be here today, and it's so necessary to get that message out there that what Canada is doing to Ungohui people. This torch represents, they say it represents peace, they say it represents unity, they say it represents love and friendship and friendly competition, peace between nations, and we're here to break that image because all of us here are obviously educated on what this Olympics actually represents. What they're doing in BC is a monstrosity. What they're doing there is they're blasting the mountains. They're clear-cutting the trees, and this is just a representation of this colonialist system that we live in today, where they think that it is okay to kick Ungohui people off of their territory, to disallow them to do their ceremonies in the mountains, in the traditional places of where they think it's okay to be raping our mother, the earth that provides for us. This is the only land we have, and we're here to say no for the future generations, because from our perspective, which our perspective does not just think about here and now. Our perspective and our people do not just think about temporary benefits. We think about the future generations. And this is extremely important to take a stand against this and expose it to the entire, on the international arena, that Canada is not what they seem to be. This is not about peace and love. They're destroying the land, they're making tons of people homeless, and they're really disrespecting Ungohui sovereignty. When they tried to run the torch through Six Nations, they did not. They consulted our Band Council, which is a colonial government that was enforced on our people by gunpoint in 1924. They did not consult. They did not come to our chiefs. They did not come to the people. And this is what they continue to do on a daily basis. And it is our time to stand up and say no to this system, to say no to this, and that we're not going to take this any longer. That we're going to stand like our ancestors did against all odds. And we're going to do everything we can to protect our way of life for the future generations, protect this land.